Let's talk about sleep paralysis, or night terrors, as some people call it. I want to share a little bit about my own experiences and what I think it is, what I think's going on, or some possibilities anyway, because I don't really know what's going on in the middle of it, or when I really think about it, but I have some ideas, and I might as well share that too. So, being that I have a lot of experiences dealing with sleep paralysis, I'm just gonna start pulling some out of my brain and just start talking about it. Make this one long video with a bunch of stories because they're all pretty short. But maybe I'll make a bunch of short videos out of that as well. So let's get into it. Sleep paralysis. My first experience that I can remember happened in my teens. I was 16, I believe, maybe 17. And this was one of the scariest times, actually. The first ones were among the scariest because I didn't know what was going on. It was a completely new experience for me, and I didn't know what to do about it. I felt like I was being haunted. I was just clueless, and I would wake up and I would just start crying really, really hard. I would just be terrified. So, one of the big bad ones, I think this is probably the second instance. The first one didn't have a lot to talk about, but it was just essentially I was there was something there with me, and what I mean by that is there seems to be some kind of entity present whenever this kind of thing happens. And it would happen a lot of times when there was somebody else around, more often than not, like somebody else in the same room while I'm sleeping. But not always. Most of the time, there was somebody else there. Now, this one time, the second time, I believe, I was in my room and I woke up in the dream state, or really, it's not a dream. It's just too real to be a dream. So that there's something different about it. And now I believe that this is actually waking up in the spirit realm, maybe the astral. I'm not sure, but all I know is my spirit would wake up, my soul would wake up, my consciousness would be alert and awake, and my body, my physical body, would still be asleep. Now, I could oftentimes turn and see my body there. Usually I didn't get too far away from it. Sometimes I felt like I would be lifted up away from it, and other times I would feel like I'm not. I would just be kind of there and knowing that I was in that state. And there was always another entity there. And sometimes you could see it, I could see it, sometimes I could not. And so I'll talk about what I saw each time. Now, finally, getting back into this story, this one time, the instance here. I was in my room and I woke up in that dream state, or an astral, or whatever. And I was facing away from the window that had some vertical blinds in it. And I heard the window open, and I heard the blinds shift out of the way. But I wasn't looking at it. But I knew that something was poking its head into this, okay? Now, I'm gonna warn you, some of this stuff might give you nightmares, all right? So if you have kids around, you might want to put them away, okay? Or if you are a young kid, maybe you should think twice about continuing watching this video, okay? Unless you want some nightmares. But I will say this, there is nothing to fear when this is happening, okay? So I always say, don't be afraid of the ghosts. Don't be afraid of the dark. It's not gonna hurt you. Anyway, getting back to it. So this thing was poking its head into my window. I heard it push the blinds over, poke its head in. And then I heard the blinds fall back into place. And then they got pushed open again, a lot harder. Next thing you know, I'm flipped over, looking up. This thing enters the room like a giant cloud of light. A bright, whitish, yellowish light. And it was in the form of a cloud of light. And this thing is right here, just right up in my face. And you could see that there was some kind of solidness to it in the middle of that cloud, kind of moving around inside of it and just swirling it at my face like this. And at that time, I was still a very strong believer in Christianity. And somebody told me at that point to rebuke devils in the name of Jesus. So I started doing that because I assumed this thing was a devil. And I started saying to leave in the name of Jesus, or whatever, in the name of Jesus, whatever I was trying to tell it to do. Well, as soon as I would say Jesus, the sound would go blank. It's like I could feel my lips moving, trying to talk, and then there was no sound coming with it, as if this creature was blocking that sound, blocking me from being able to say that name. So I found that to be very interesting. And ultimately, as it sat there and did this weird thing that it was doing, I was just stuck and feeling absolutely terrified. And I was, that's the scariest part, is that you feel like you're gonna pass away when this kind of thing is happening. You ultimately feel like something is attacking you in a way. It's not like it's sitting there beating on you. It has like a weird energetic hold on you, and you can feel as if it does have hands on you a lot of times. I'm not talking about this instance, but in many other instances, you could feel like it's holding you in place. But in this particular instance, after this went on for just a matter of, I don't know, probably just a few more seconds, I was able to run off, like get up and run off. And then I woke up. And that one really, really shook me, because the way that it came and the way that everything just went down and what this thing was doing, it was just really, really creepy. Okay, so that was one story. We're already 8 minutes in. Okay, so let me just get down more into another story. When I was stationed in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, I was in the Navy. I was a corpsman, and I was attached to Marine units. And at this time, I was working at the School of Infantry in Camp Geiger, which is part of Camp Lejeune. I was staying the night. I was on duty in the Camp Devil Dog BAS, Battle Aid Station. It was the small sick call clinic that they had out there in that place. And if you were in the Marine Corps, especially all of you females out there, you know what I'm talking about. You were there. And I don't know if that building is still there. It was like a little tiny house that they had in that part of the base. Now, there had been a lot of rumors of hauntings happening around that part of the base. And people would say things like they saw children running around as ghosts and things like that in the middle of the night. And bad things happened. And, you know, I was there when somebody ended themselves, one of the students. And it was just, it's a very painful place. And if you've been there, you know what I mean. It's not a pleasant place to be. And so there I was on duty this night, and it happened. I was in bed. They had a little cot there for us to rack out on. And I remember waking up in that state again, and I looked over at a doorway into the next room, and all of a sudden I seen this thing pop into the doorway. He just kind of slid right in there. And he, or it, whatever it was, this time it was gray, and it was a silhouette. It was just a gray silhouette of shaped like a man. And this thing stopped in the doorway for like a half a second, and then it just, boom, it just bum rushed at me. And it happened so fast, the thing came partially through the doorway. Like as if it was a solid human, it would have bumped itself and possibly knocked itself over. But no, this thing being in the spirit form, it just blasted through part of the doorway and came right at me. And next thing you know, it was right on me, just in my face. And it was doing that thing where it was just making you feel really terrible, you know what I mean? And that's essentially the gist of it. Like that's what happens. It happens for a few seconds. You can feel it. You feel that terrible feeling like you're gonna, I gotta be careful with the words that I say. So, being, on for all the social platforms and stuff. But, it makes you feel like you're gonna end, like it's over. This is how you're going. But then it goes away. I found that one to be pretty interesting. And it happened to me so many times that I got used to it after a while, and then I just became not afraid of it anymore. I would just be like, oh, it's you again. Get out of here, whatever. And then it got to a point where I would kind of look forward to it. I would wait for it. Sometimes I would go a long time and nothing would happen. And then when it finally would happen, I would be like, oh, that was cool. Just kind of a reminder that there is a spirit realm. It's kind of the way I look at it sometimes. And I don't know. I know it's kind of weird, but sometimes it leads into other things. And okay, I got two stories in mind that I want to get into, so let's just dig into it before I forget. So another time, back when I was a teenager, I think I was 17 or 18, I had stopped over at my friend's house, a girl. She was not my girlfriend. She was my friend. She was previously my girlfriend. And sometimes she would just let me come over and we'd hang out and whatever. But because we always stayed friends afterwards. And this particular night, I came over and we were just sleeping. And we were sleeping in the same bed. And it happened there. Next thing you know, this was really strange. So I woke up in the spirit state, and I could hear somebody breathing in my ear. And I was like, oh, that's kind of weird, but that's just her next to me. She's just breathing in my ear. But then I was panicking because I was feeling that feeling of terror, like something was there. I just couldn't see it yet. And so I could tell that my body was shaking like a puppy, just, whimpering kind of a thing. And next thing you know, she gets up and she jumps on top of me, like straddling me. And don't get the wrong idea, like we had our clothes on, okay? Like nothing was going on in, like a dirty way or anything. She gets on top of me and she's like, kind of shakes me a little. She's like, it's okay, just trying to calm me down. And I was like, why am I still hearing somebody breathing in my ear? And I look up at her and I'm like, if this is you, then who is breathing in my ear? And a second later, she jumps up and I realize it's not her. It wasn't really her. That was on top of me. And it flew up, rose up into the air at the foot of the bed and was just hovering up there. And God, I'll never forget this, but it became like it started to transform. It started to transform into what appeared to be a woman in a wedding dress. And their face was changing. It was just this dark blackness, this ugliness. And I'm just watching this happen and I'm just losing it because I'm freaking the hell out. And all that was unfolding. Meanwhile, I was able to turn around and see my body and the real girl next to me. And I saw her roll over and try to shake me awake. And then I finally woke up and she started to tell me about what was going on. She started to tell me about how I sounded like a puppy and I was shaking, and like a whimpering puppy, and I was shaking in my sleep and I was just freaking out. And so I actually witnessed her waking me up from in the spirit realm. I thought that was pretty cool. At that time, I didn't know what was going on, but looking back at it, I have no other explanation. Like those were things that were happening in a different realm that is beyond this physical realm. But I seem to be in the same place, okay? And my surroundings, you could see them as the same, but it's hard to remember it to be as clear as it is when you're in this waking physical state. So there was that one. Another time I had, this was like perhaps a foreshadowing of some kind of ascension or something, or it was possibly just lucid dreaming, but I don't believe that's what it was. This was more of a vision of some kind, and it was very real. It was far more real than any typical dream that I've ever had. And I've had some very, very realistic dreams, but this happened in my living room. I was alone and I had a nap on the couch. And this time, when I woke up in the spirit realm, I could feel a bunch of small hands all putting their hands along my abdomen area. It was like these people were like the size of gnomes or something. I couldn't see them, but I could see their arms in a way by being able to reach up and feel them. I could tell that they were very small and they were just different in some way. Like they weren't like kids, or maybe they were, but they seemed like something else. And I don't really know how to describe this, but I was not feeling any particular kind of positive or negative emotions from these entities. They were pretty neutral, I would say. Well, next thing you know, they're feeling me, like they're just placing their hands on me, and I'm reaching up and I can actually feel their arms, and I could even feel hair on the arms. This was really weird. Well, next thing you know, we're gone altogether. We have ascended into the sky. I went from my living room couch to way up into the clouds in the sky, and we were flying, and they were carrying me. They had a grip on me, on my hands and my legs, down by my ankles, my arms and my legs, and they were carrying me through the sky. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. Next thing you know, I could see something up ahead. It appears to be like a portal in the sky or something like that. I guess, I don't know what else it would have been. But it looked like an opening, kind of like a doorway, sort of. Not like a doorway in your house, a big rectangular thing. It was more like a cave opening kind of a thing, you know. But it was just a flash of light sitting there, or maybe not a flash, but you know what I mean. It was just like this, looked like a portal. Okay, use your imagination. And as soon as we hit the thing, I woke up. I have no idea what that was about. Another instance that I remember, it was somewhat of a sexual encounter, if you will. And this led me to wonder what sex is like on the other side. Or is it even a thing? Is it even possible? Well, after that, I think there is definitely a thing for that going on, and it is amazing, okay? So let me get into this. So this is pretty quick, I guess. So I was in my room. I was alone this time, and I woke up to this thing, and it was no joke, okay? Again, put the kids away for this, okay? This is kind of adulty stuff going on, all right? So this thing must have been like a succubus or whatever, an incubus or succubus, I think, you know, whichever one goes for the males, I forget. But this thing was like trying to go down on me and just making that connection down there in a spiritual way. There was just a connection. It must have been connecting to my root chakra or something like that. I don't know, honestly. But what I do know is it felt really, really good. And it felt different. Not like the way this is in the physical form. It was better. It was better. I can't really explain it that much, but it was better. And this happened for, I don't know how long. It wasn't long enough, I guess, because I didn't want it to stop. And, but I have to wonder, what exactly was going on there? Was it trying to steal my energy? Because that's what I think it was doing. Whatever this thing was. And you know, this has happened to me so many times in my life, I lost count. And sometimes it goes for a long time without, you know, several years, and then all of a sudden, boom, it can happen. But in that instance, that just went on for a moment, and then it was over, and the thing left, and I was like, come back. And I was hoping it would happen again the next night, but it never did. So I gotta wonder, you know, I hear these stories about what people do. There's videos online on YouTube and stuff of people that are like ex-Satanists that talk about how they enter people's rooms in the spirit realm and things like that, and I'm just like, is that what was going on with these instances? Is it just somebody or some spirit being sent by somebody to come and check me out or come and harass me or see what I'm doing, whatever, I don't know, try to feed off of my energy or something like that. I don't know, but I really got to wonder about that. And sometimes they would come as just a black entity, just, oh. Okay, one more that I can think of, and I'm gonna wrap this video up because we're coming up on half an hour soon. But this time, this one started as a dream, and it ended as a night terror. So there I was driving my car going up into the San Bernardino Mountains. And if you've ever been out there, if you know where Waterman Avenue is, yeah, it's Waterman Avenue. That's the road at the bottom of the mountain when Highway 18 finishes off, or where it starts, where it connects to the city streets in San Bernardino. I was on Waterman Avenue and I was heading up the mountain in my dream. And I see this entity, this black shadow. I see it like floating by, like, how can I explain this? Like the way, imagine something in a video game where, you know, before the video games of today got so advanced, imagine where you see the character, how he kind of moves around and he kind of slips his feet around because, you know, it's just not perfect. Each step doesn't land exactly where it goes. So they're kind of surfing around a little bit as they're walking. You know what I mean? If you've ever played video games, especially some of the older ones, you probably know what I mean. And it was doing that. It was like on the street, and I'm driving up and I'm starting to lose control in my dream of being able to steer the car. I'm starting to veer off the side of the road. And I see this thing just appear, and it's just like boom, 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 just kind of slipping around all over the place on the side, on the left side of the road, on the oncoming traffic side. And it screamed. And it screamed, it sounded like two voices at once, a high scream and a low scream. It's the ugliest thing I ever heard. And I heard this, and then all of a sudden, boom, there I was in the room where I was at, and this whole thing was going on, and I could feel this thing, man. It felt like it was trying to twist my body apart. Like, that's what would happen sometimes too, when you can feel them having a grip on you. They would be twisting and just trying to, like, you could feel them trying to tear you apart. It's weird. Like, they're just mad at you, like they just hate you, you know? That's devil energy right there. But this thing was pissed, and it was trying to get me. And those were some of the scariest, because you felt like you were being attacked. How many people out there have had similar experiences? I'd like to see them. I'd like to hear some of your stories too. If you could drop something in the comments, talk about your experiences with that stuff, that would be amazing. And, you know, maybe we can kind of help each other piece together what this mysterious thing is all about. And I know there is some kind of explanation that the scientific world has about it. You know, I looked into it a long time ago. I honestly can't remember what they said, but, or, you know, what psychology has to say about what this is or whatever. All I know is that it feels very real, and it's quite an experience. If it ever happens to you and you don't know what it is yet, or you're just not used to it and it scares the heck out of you, it's okay. It's okay to be afraid. Cry it out if you have to, whatever. But don't be afraid of it. And as it happens more, you just kind of get used to it, like I said, and even got to a point where I would kind of look forward to it when it would happen, just because I kind of appreciate the visit in a way. Yeah. Yeah, I just said that. I do. I appreciate the visit. So I think it's kind of cool just seeing what other spirits are doing nearby. I think it's cool. I'd love to talk to them and stuff if I could, but I haven't done that yet. Not in that way. Not like, hey, how's it going? You know, like, hey, what do you want to talk about today? But if that were to ever happen, I would be super excited because I'm not afraid of spirits anymore. I'm not afraid of any entities coming around. I think it's just cool that they're there for whatever reason. I would like to know more about them. And so, I don't know, that's the way I feel about it. Everything is beautiful. Life is beautiful. You're beautiful. And it is what it is. So, don't be afraid. And I'm going to wrap this up now. I hope this helps somebody. I hope somebody out there can relate. And again, share your stories. I'd really, really appreciate it. All right. I love you guys. Till next time. Bye now.